In the heart of a forgotten village stood a decrepit house, its history buried under layers of dust and silence. The villagers whispered tales of the wretched place, speaking of an evil that slumbered in its depths. But for Alex, a curious and intrepid teenager, the house represented an adventure, a secret begging to be unearthed. One stormy evening, driven by a mix of bravery and recklessness, Alex approached the house. The door creaked open as if welcoming him into its grip. Inside, the air was thick with the scent of mold and decay. As he navigated the shadowy corridors, a sudden, intense sensation of being watched crawled over him. Ignoring the whispers of instinct, he pressed on towards the basement door. With each step down the creaking staircase, the air grew colder, denser. Then, the stairs ended abruptly, leaving Alex standing before an impenetrable darkness. From within, something unseen whispered his name, its voice a blend of malice and longing. He reached for the light switch, only to find that his fingers grazed something far colder, far more alive than the wall. A sudden force pulled him forward into the abyss as the screams of 1,000 lost souls erupted around him. The door slammed shut above, sealing him within the heart of the darkness. Trapped, Alex fumbled for his phone, the only source of light. The camera flash pierced the darkness, revealing glimpses of a world unseen. A room filled with ancient symbols and artifacts of unspeakable origin. Each photograph captured shadows that seemed to move, to squirm with life just beyond the edge of sight. In the eerie silence, a whisper slithered through the dark, weaving tales of a cursed object buried within these walls. A box, the source of the house's malevolence, bound by chains older than the village itself. Compelled by forces beyond his understanding, Alex searched, his hands guided by whispers that felt older than time. Suddenly, the shadows coalesced into a solid form, an entity of pure darkness, its eyes burning with a hateful light. It moved towards him, faster than a blink, and as it touched him, visions of unspeakable horror flooded his mind. People driven to madness, creatures of nightmare walking among the living, and at the center of it all, the box. As the entity vanished, it left behind a trail of icy coldness. Alex found the box, its surface cold to the touch, the chains around it pulsating with a dark energy. He knew he must leave it untouched, but the whispers grew louder, promising power, promising escape. In a moment of madness, he reached for the box. The chains fell away the moment his fingers brushed against them, unleashing a surge of energy that threw Alex against the wall. The house trembled, its very foundation groaning as if in pain. The basement lit up with an eldritch light, revealing not a room, but a gateway, an opening to realms unknown, filled with creatures of nightmare. Alex realized the truth. The basement was not a prison, but a barrier, and he had just unlocked it. The entity, a guardian of sorts, had failed to keep him from the box, and now its wrath turned towards him. He ran, the whispers now screams in his mind, urging him to embrace the darkness he had unleashed. The house twisted around him, corridors stretching into infinity, staircases leading nowhere. Behind him, the creatures from beyond the gateway began to seep into our world, their forms too horrifying to behold. Just as the darkness was about to consume him, a sliver of light appeared, a door ajar, leading to the outside world. With the last ounce of his strength, Alex pushed through, collapsing on the ground outside as the door slammed shut behind him, sealing the evil away once again. But the village was silent, too silent. As he looked around, He realized the creatures had followed him into the world. The house, now silent, stood as a grim reminder of the curse Alex had unleashed. As the shadows gathered around him, he understood his fate was now intertwined with the darkness, forever a part of the house and its legacy. And somewhere, in the depth of the night, the sound of chains dragging could be heard, as if something was searching, something was coming, for the box and for him. In the heart of a forgotten town stood the remnants of the Hawthorne estate, its history marred by tales of the supernatural. Legend had it that the mansion's expansive basement harbored an evil so profound it had never been fully explored. Drawn by stories of hauntings and the promise of an encounter with the afterlife, two seasoned ghost hunters, Marcus and Elena, decided to probe the depths of the Hawthorne estate's dismal underbelly. The pair arrived under the cloak of night, their way lit only by the beams of their flashlights and a distant storm, casting sporadic light across the decrepit structure. The front door, barely hanging on its hinges, creaked ominously as they made their entry, a foreboding welcome. Marcus's voice recorder and Elena's thermal camera were at the ready, their tools to communicate with and capture evidence of the supernatural. Descending into the basement was like stepping into another realm. The air grew colder, denser, as if the very atmosphere was reluctant to be disturbed. They navigated through the clutter of generations, objects left behind not by choice, but perhaps by something more sinister, steering them away. That's when they heard it, the soft, distinct whisper of a child. Following the sound, they were led to an ancient, sealed door. Marcus, ever the braver of the two, pried it open, revealing a hidden chamber that was not on any of the estate's blueprints. It was here the atmosphere thickened, choked with the despair of something unseen. Shadows danced along the walls, though the source of their movement remained a mystery. Elena's thermal camera began to flicker wildly, signaling the presence of an anomaly. The temperature plummeted, their breath materializing in front of them. From the darkness, a voice, clear and menacing, promised them answers to questions they hadn't dared to ask. Drawn in by its power, Marcus stepped forward, only to have the ground beneath him give way, swallowing him into the darkness below. Elena, fueled by a mixture of fear and determination, jumped in after Marcus, finding herself in a sub-basement, a place that time had forgotten. It was there, surrounded by the remnants of occult rituals, that they saw it, a creature, neither ghost nor human, but something in between. Its eyes, void of light, seemed to pierce through them, reading their very souls. Marcus and Elena realized they were not hunters in this moment but prey. The entity spoke of a curse, one that trapped it and countless others in a limbo between worlds. It was their energy, their life force, that the creature desired, to break the bonds of its imprisonment. The twists of fate were unkind. In their quest for the supernatural, Marcus and Elena had inadvertently become the key to unleashing an ancient evil upon the world. With every intention of confronting the unknown, they were now faced with a choice: sacrifice themselves and contain the malevolence within these walls, or flee and risk its wrath upon humanity. Their decision came at the ultimate cost. Utilizing the very rituals that had bound the creature, Marcus and Elena trapped themselves in it within a spectral prison. A decision that would erase them from the physical realm but safeguard the world from the darkness below the Hawthorne estate. Years passed, and the tale of the two ghost hunters who vanished became yet another layer to the legend of the Hawthorne estate. The basement, sealed more firmly than ever, held within it a silence that was more than the absence of sound. It was a monument to sacrifice, a testament to the thin veil between the living and the dead, and a reminder that some doors, once opened, might reveal horrors that are better left undiscovered. In the pall of night under a sable sky, two burglars, Alex and Jamie, maneuvered through the shadowy streets of a forgotten suburb, their sights set on a decrepit mansion rumored to be laden with antiques. The mansion, enshrouded in legends of its previous dwellers and untold riches, stood as a relic of times gone by, its silhouette a daunting specter against the moonlit backdrop. Their entry was a symphony of silence, practiced movements muffling any sound. They found themselves engulfed by the heavy air of abandonment, each step stirring up decades of undisturbed dust. The mansion whispered with the echoes of its past grandeur, but Alex and Jamie were focused solely on the wealth it concealed. As they scoured through the antiquated halls, an accidental nudge against a seemingly innocuous bookshelf unveiled a hidden passage leading down into the abyss. The descent promised the forgotten troves they sought, pulling them toward the gaping maw of the basement with an almost magnetic allure. Descending the creaking stairs, a suffocating darkness enveloped them, thicker than the night above. Their flashlights, mere beacons of frail light, scarcely pierced the void. The air grew colder, denser, as if breathing itself was an intrusion into a realm that defied the living. It wasn't treasures that awaited them, but a chamber of horrors, a room adorned with symbols and artifacts that seemed to mock the very essence of human sanity. In the center stood a statue, an amalgamation of forms both human and otherworldly, its visage twisted in eternal torment. The air vibrated with a silent scream, the statue's eyes seeming to follow their every move. Then, the impossible occurred. The statue began to move, not as stone but as flesh. Its eyes ignited with a baleful glow, and a guttural sound emanated from within, a sound that seemed to claw its way into their very souls, promising an eternity of despair. Alex and Jamie, frozen in terror, found their nightmare had only begun. The creature spoke in tongues lost to time, and with each word, the shadows themselves seemed to stir, manifesting as specters of those who had trespassed before, ensnared in everlasting torment. Their flashlights, once beacons of hope, flickered and died, leaving them in a darkness so profound it seemed to swallow light itself. In a desperate escape, they found themselves separated, each turn and corridor leading not to salvation but deeper into a labyrinthine nightmare. Whispers filled the air, each step echoed by unseen followers, their intentions as malevolent as the darkness itself. Jamie stumbled upon an archive, a macabre collection detailing the mansion's lineage, cursed and forsaken. The creature, a guardian of this cursed legacy, sought not just to terrify, but to claim their very beings for the mansion's collection of souls. Alex, in a blind panic, discovered a way out, a shaft of moonlight offering salvation. But in this house of horrors, freedom came at a price. To his horror, Jamie was nowhere to be found, his fate sealed by the mansion's insatiable appetants. Emerging alone into the night, Alex was a shell, a bearer of a tale too fiendish to be believed. The mansion, dormant once more, waited, its appetite momentarily sated. But its doors remained unlocked, its secrets hidden in the shadows, whispering for the next unwary souls to enter. Thus, the legend of the mansion grew, a story of greed, terror, and a creature too horrific to dwell anywhere but in the nightmares of those who dared to unearth its secrets.